In episode 6, Alina hops out of the trunk and is surprised to see Kaz's group. She tries to say how she doesn't want any trouble, she just wants to be on her way, but Kaz says, I can't let you do that. So Alina busts out her powers. It blinds both Kaz and Jesper, but Inej seemingly just lets her go. But when Alina gets to town, she finds that life isn't greener on the other side. She's no longer the Sun Summoner. Nobody knows who she is. And most people are really rude to her because she looks Shu. While walking down the street, a guy ends up running into her, and of course, he blames her for it. But when he tries to get a little too touchy-feely, Alina punches him. She ends up getting attacked, where she has to use her powers in order to get away. It forced her to flee into the woods, where, as she's hiding, she hears a noise to her right, and she's surprised to see that it's Maul, who's been tracking her since she left the castle. So her and Maul try to walk to safety. Back at the castle, though, Kurgan, along with Zoya and Victor, his Heartrender, interrogate the conductor. The conductor makes up a lie how he was swindled and he wasn't there to kidnap the Sun Summoner and he didn't kill the imposter. But the Heartrender knows that he's lying. Kurgan mentions how they have record of everybody who has ever crossed the fold, but they have no record of him. The conductor, though, continues to say how he's just an entertainer. But when Kurgan lifts up his sleeve, he sees the scars on his arm which indicate how many times he would successfully cross the fold. And that's when Kurgan calls him out on it. You aren't an entertainer, you are the conductor. He then rips into the conductor for helping him sneak Grisha out of, quote, his palace, saying that he helps them abandon the war effort. The conductor corrects him, though, saying, no, I just deal with legal indentions. I don't deal with Grisha, something that Victor calls out as a lie. Kurgan, though, didn't need Victor to tell him it was a lie. Kurgan knew it, because, as he tells the conductor, I had a spy, Nina. And boy, does this come as a surprise to the conductor. Kurgan goes on to say that the last report they had from Nina was that she would be crossing the fold with the conductor and 3 other people from Ketterdam. She didn't know what their mission was, but she was waiting to meet him, and they haven't heard from her since. The conductor vehemently denies that he had anything to do with the disappearance of Nina. Kurgan then goes on to nail exactly what the conductor did, striking a deal with Kaz and his group to kidnap Alina. But he was going to double-cross them because he had a stronger relationship with General Zlatan. So he made a deal with him to kill Alina, because they both stood to benefit if the fold stayed where it was. And the conductor admits it, telling Kurgan that the prize to bring Alina back was $1 million. But since he has such a connection with Zlatan, if Kurgan gives him half of that, he'll kill Zlatan. But to his surprise, Kurgan doesn't take that offer, walking away and then using his powers to kill the conductor. He heads back to his room where he summons for Zoya, and he lets her know that at sundown he's going to lead a team after the Sun Summoner. He wants her to come along with a couple other people. Kurgan keeps using the word kidnapped, and Zoya brings up the fact that maybe she wasn't kidnapped. Maybe she just left on her own. I mean, we don't really know anything about her. Dealing with all the stress of saving those lives might have gotten to her. Kurgan says that he knows how she felt because he used to be treated the same way. Zoya decides this would be a good opportunity to try to seduce the general, but just like Maul a few months ago, she gets turned down. Right as he's about to leave, the Grisha Fedor comes up to him and lets him know that he does have a lead on where Nina is. She was abducted by Fjordans, put on a ship with other Grisha captives, bound for a place called the Ice Court. Kurgan hypothesizes that it was Zlatan who gave her up. But Fedor points out that they do have a witch hunter with them, a guy named Matthias, who is indeed the guy who actually captured her. This guy is really, really good at tracking Grisha to the point where Fedor says, I want him dead as much as I want her back alive. Fedor also learned that the ship that they were on hit a storm front, then they lost track of it. So he's instructed to go as far north as he can and bring back any Grisha that he can find. And on top of it, bring back a Fjordan. But Fedor's heading into this not knowing if Nina actually survived the storm. She did. So did Matthias, but only because Nina saved him. They end up barely making it to shore, where they're freezing cold and they know they need to locate shelter. And these two are like the odd couple, constantly bickering, but also surprising one another. Like when Nina surprises Matthias that she can speak Fjordan. It doesn't take long for these two to hop into bed together without clothes on, but it's only after heavy pressuring by Nina because Matthias was pretty close to freezing to death instead. He's pretty stubborn. After leaving the hut, they continue to walk and freeze their asses off, and Matthias is way too stressed out. Nina says, you know you need to relax, but he says, I can't relax. And she asks, why? Are you afraid you're going to start to like me or something? And yeah, that's exactly what Matthias is scared of. He's been taught his entire life to not trust Grisha, and here's a Grisha who he actually likes, who saved his life, and who isn't like the stories that he's been told. He admits to her, I do like you. And she asks him, is that so bad? And he says, yeah, because you're horrible, you're loud, and you're lewd, and you're treacherous. But what he doesn't know is if she's messing with his heart, making him feel this way. And she laughs at this, saying, "Oh, I get it. I'm the Grisha seductress." It makes him realize how ridiculous he sounds. But as they start to joke around, she falls through the ice, and she's barely hanging on. And Matthias returns the favor from earlier and saves her life. And the two of them continue on in their trek. But back with Kaz and his group, Kaz wants some answers from Inej on what the hell happened. And Inej admits, "I let her go." But Inej let Alina go because she truly believes in her. She believes that she's something special. And that's something that Kaz doesn't. He doesn't buy into it. He thinks it's a sham. He's frustrated at what Inej did, that she made that decision. And he blurts out that if they don't get Alina, then Tanti is going to get the Crow Club. He realized, though, as soon as he said that he shouldn't have, because this is the first that Inej is hearing this. She questions him on what did he do, but he doesn't answer. Shortly after, he goes up and lets him know that he has rigged the carriage that they arrived in with explosives. When the explosives go off, that'll be their signal that General Kurgan is in town and they need to hit the road. But Jesper can't believe that they're actually going to leave empty-handed. It's not like they have a choice, though. They looked all over for Alina. They can't find her. And the plan goes just as Jesper and the group expected. Right as General Kurgan arrives in town, he notices the stolen carriage and he sends a guy over to check it out. And when the guy opens the door, the carriage explodes. Kaz and his group jump into action, saying, "All right, let's head outside, but split up. We can handle Grisha's one-on-one, but we can't handle a pack of them." So as soon as they exit the bar, they're seen by the Grishas, and they run in opposite directions. Victor is on Jesper, and Jesper uses his sharpshooting ability to hit Victor, but Victor's coat is bulletproof. Jesper, though, loving a good challenge, continues to hit the exact same spot with the bullet, and it does eventually knock Victor down to the point where Jesper now has the upper hand. But right as he's about to shoot him, he looks to his right and notices a little boy, and he doesn't want to kill Victor right in front of a kid. He tells Victor, "You're lucky, I'm a softie," but then he knocks him out with the butt of his gun. Inej was tracked down by the sister of the guy that she killed. Sister wants revenge. And Inej is injured in the fight, but she ends up using her knife to stab the woman in the chest, saying, "If you pull this out, you're going to bleed out." So she was trying to extend an olive branch in a weird way, but after the woman insults her, saying that she's just going to hunt her down, Inej says, "All right, then I'm taking my knife back." And she extracts it, and the woman bleeds out. Zoya went after Kaz. She actually thought that she caught up to him, but it was just a guy in a similar coat. Not to worry, though, because as he's walking down an alley, he gets cut off by General Kurgan. And Kurgan thinks that Kaz knows exactly where Alina is. In fact, he thinks he's stashing her away somewhere. But Kaz says, "No, I have no idea where she went." It was pretty clear, though, she wasn't interested in being a captive anymore. Black smoke starts circling the general, and he tells Kaz, "You should have stayed in Ketterdam, Mr. Breaker." But right before he's going to attack, Kaz pulls out some sort of bomb from his pouch, throws it on the ground, and disappears. Kaz and his group meet back up, and they need a ride out of town, so they decide, we'll steal the general's carriage. The only thing is, David, the fabricator, was just sitting in there chilling, so he gets kicked out. The group steals the carriage and goes about their way. When the general finds out, though, he's actually not that pissed, saying, "Let them go, she's not with them anyway." And this is where David comes into play, saying that the ring that Kurgan gave her is made from a different metal, that if she's within a mile of them, he'll be able to direct them to her. And luckily for Alina, she's more than a mile away with Maul, but she wants some answers from him. Mainly, where the hell's he been? They get into a "you didn't write me, no wait, I wrote you, you didn't write me" argument, and this leads into Maul questioning her how long she's known that she was Grisha. I mean, after all, you cheated on the test. And she fires back, "I didn't know. I cheated on the test because if I was Grisha, they were going to break us apart." They settle down a little bit, and Maul tells her, "I've been trying to get back to you this whole time. I even found the stag." She has no idea what he's talking about, though, and he lets her know that Kurgan's orders were to track it, and it came from her drawings. And this is when she realizes that Baghra was telling the truth, because those drawings must have been stolen by him from Alina's journal. She tells Maul that he's been obsessed with finding it. It's the one amplifier that could rival his power. That night, as they're freezing their asses off and they're hungry, they have a conversation about if Maul is scared of Alina because now she's a Grisha. And he says no, looking her in the eyes and saying, "Sorry I didn't see you before, but I see you now." Maul is slowly trying to creep out of the friend zone. The next day, though, Alina has decided to patch up Maul from his injuries. And Maul lets her know what happened, with him getting attacked in Fjorda and his friends dying in the process. She asks Maul, "Did you tell General Kurgan where to find the stag?" And Maul says, "Well, I showed him a general area on a map." She says, "Okay, then we need to head north to find the stag before he does." As they're walking, she's eating because she's pretty ravenous, and he makes mention of it, but saying, no, it's a good thing. You look healthy. Is that what using your powers does for you? And she thinks about what Maul just said and says aloud, that's how he's lived for so long. He'll hunt me down. He'll never stop, because I'm the only threat to him now. She then tries to tell Maul about how she hooked up with General Kerrigan, but he cuts her off before she can get to the details, just saying, you don't owe me any explanation. I just want to keep you safe at this point. But they need to hurry because Kerrigan is hunting them down as fast as possible. He ends up talking to a couple of people in the village that they're in, and eventually he gets to the guy that she attacked. He tells Kerrigan that the neighbors said that they saw her flee north into the woods. But he also mentions that the First Army came through there too. Eventually, though, Kerrigan is able to figure out that it wasn't actually the First Army, it was just Maul tracking her down. Thanks for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to this channel. Like the video if you liked it. Hit thumbs down if you don't. Be nice in the comments section. Nasty comments hurt my feelings. I work hard on these. If I make a mistake, it happens. If you don't see the next video up in the end screen, it'll be up soon. Sharing is caring. Put it on your MySpace page or your away message. And check out my podcast, Scene Invaders, wherever you listen to podcasts.